All right. Welcome back in. We're off to a great start. Welcome back in to Talkin' Trash. We're going to close out the spring 2021 season. A lot of news to run through first. The season's also going to be kind of weird to look back at because I'm realizing, looking at some of these shows, there's a lot that are longer than 12 episodes.
Yeah, it's
So-
definitely a little weird to be able to properly gauge, especially because a lot of those ones that we're watching are the ones that we really have been talking about already the past couple times. So it's not like they're just like one-off things that we really haven't put too much effort into.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I can choose the same show 2 seasons in a row. I don't know if that's legal, but we'll see.
Based on my feelings of how next season might be, which you'll hear about in the next episode,
Mhm.
it might be legal.
Yeah, yep, I had the same feeling. Anyway, on all the news we got, the I think big news, at least for manga fans, is Jujutsu Kaisen is on a hiatus. No idea how long that's gonna last. Really hard to tell, but hopefully
As
that
long
sorts itself out.
Yeah, as long as it's not like turns into the Hunter x Hunter hiatus scenario where it's just like eternally on. I think a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen right now and the hype that it's getting is mainly through Western audience. So it gives the Western audience a chance to catch up in their English volumes. Like I know this month is only supposed to be volume 11. I think right now in Japan there's almost like 20 volumes out.
Oh,
So it gives a chance of these volumes to develop and be able to sell in the Western audience. So it's not like it's in a bad situation. There's still plenty of content for them to be able to adapt for a season 2. So even if it takes like a 6-month hiatus, it's not going to be like the end of the world.
mhm. Yeah, you just hope everything's all right with the creator. I mean, hearing that come out after the Mayora news is never a very good feeling.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely cool with the hiatus if everything works out and everyone's all right.
As somebody who just took a week off from everything and unplugged for a couple days for mental health reasons, if that's the reason why it's going on hiatus, then all the power to them.
For sure. Some of the other big announcements we've got recently as far as sequels go, we talked about Overlord in the last episode getting announced for another season and a movie. I brought up Isekai Quartet from there, and sure enough, right after our episode, Yojo Senki got announced for a season 2. I believe it had a season 1 and a movie, so this is season 2 that will be coming out.
Yeah, and I mean that's another one that's a rather I want to say it's a more niche one in terms of its popularity, but there's like it's a
Mhm.
vocal minority in a sense that like if you watch this, people love it. It's just I think it was one of those anime that I know, look, at the end of the day, we're sometimes simple people. We look at an image of, what it shows up on my anime list and we're not sure if that's something we would watch. Like
Yeah.
I know that it's judging a book by its cover. The saying is not supposed to do that, but we've done it. So, with a season 2, maybe it'll bring in more hype and more fandom towards them because I know that there is a outspoken group that likes it. So, I'm curious to see how the second season fares.
Yeah, with Isekai Quartet, it always felt like the fourth one there. It was always the fourth most popular behind ReZero, Overlord, and Konosuba. It still feels that
Yeah.
way, but hopefully, maybe Isekai Quartet has drawn more fans to it. That's what it did for me. And going right off of that, I think it was announced today. I guess it'll be yesterday at the time I upload this, but Isekai Quartet is getting a movie?
Yep. It's gonna get a
It's
movie in 2022.
it doesn't even have full length seasons.
I
It's 11-minute episodes.
I'm gonna be honest. I've had zero interest in wanting to watch it. It's Isekai Quartet is Attack on Titan Junior High or whatever the hell it was called. Like I've had no interest in wanting to watch this like quirky, awkward spin-off that just feels very anti the whole premises behind a lot of the shows. Like Konosuba's Konosuba, but
Yeah,
everything else there, it doesn't feel like it fits, you know?
yeah.
So
Attack on Titan High School I did watch, and it was interesting that it had the parallels of Attack on Titan, like, you can kinda tell what episode you were on and what episode they were parodying. Isekai
Mhm.
Quartet is kinda doing its own thing where it's like the characters get isekai'd from their isekai world into a high school.
Didn't, like,
It's
Shield Hero show up in it at one point too,
Yeah,
I feel
Shield
like?
Hero's in
Yeah.
season 2. He'd probably be in the movie, I guess.
Yeah, probably. He's replacing Yojo Senki.
I I don't know.
I
I'm
wouldn't
gonna
be
watch the
surprised
movie.
if somehow that happened.
I'm watching the movie.
Alright, you watch that. I'll watch the other movie that we're gonna talk about in a second, which I could probably jump
Yeah, you
into
can bring it
that.
in.
So, we have a date for Sword Art Online Progressive.
Yeah, great choice. That's
That
better than
anime fi
Isekai Quartet.
Okay, okay. But if you don't know what, Sword Art Online Progressive is, it think of, like, every floor of the original Sword Art Online where, you know, they were in floor 0 to floor 100 or floor 1 to 100, and we pretty much skipped majority of those. Progressive takes a little bit more of, like, an in-depth look in each of those floors. Think of it almost like a volume of a manga equates to, like, 1 floor. So, there's a lot of extra info that we're gonna get in this film, and the date that we have for it is going to be October 30th. So, only a couple months
Mm,
away, but obviously it's probably gonna take a little bit more time before it reaches Western audiences, but as
yeah.
somebody who really did enjoy Alicization and what it started to develop, yeah, I know it's had a bad rep. I know that it is something that a lot of people haven't been too fond on, but I think that they're starting to be able to find its path and sort of there's obviously the one scene in every season that we all get
Yep.
uncomfortable with, but I think as a whole, it's definitely started to improve itself as the anime has gone on.
Yeah, and I think that that's the kind of, sentiment you get from the fan base. It's either, it got better with Alicization, or the stance I'm on is Aincrad was pretty good. If they are releasing a fleshed out, more full Aincrad adaptation, it could legitimately be amazing.
Yeah. Now, granted, it is a movie, so you know you're still shoving it all into 2 hours, but in the grand scheme of things, what 20 minutes an episode? You know, like you're really getting practically the same amount, if not a little bit more, depending on like what floors we really analyze.
Yeah, so I'm interested in that, but I will try to keep my hopes in check. Other things, smaller announcement, I guess 86 Core 2, season 2, whatever we're calling it, is coming in
I
October of this year, so a pretty quick
I feel like
turnaround.
core these days is a more common thing to say,
Mhm.
especially when like you know it's think of it like Attack on Titan final season part 2. Like they're just kind of separating the whole. Maybe they needed to work on other
Mhm.
things. Maybe the production just didn't have like the slots available. Like you know who knows what's going on in the back end, but it is going to directly follow. They only took a little bit of time off, and obviously we're now that it's halfway through and there is a definitive ending, we're going to actually be able to talk a little bit about it here.
Yeah.
But in terms of other things that we have coming up, one thing that had caught my eye that I read was Demon Slayer's is supposedly having a spin-off manga. So on August 4th, I want to say, we can double check that later, but on August 4th, I saw that there's going to be like a serialization in one of the Japanese magazines that is going to have a spin-off series. There really hasn't been much more detail about that, but
Mm.
I think, like, there was a floating image that it was the people at the end of the manga, which I am trying to be as vague as possible because the
Yeah.
manga has ended, and obviously there's a lot of people that haven't read it, but it's interesting. I don't know
Yeah, it's the
how
first
it'll
I'm hearing
go.
of it. I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, I'm very, not sure how to feel about it. I wanna see how the spinoff kinda goes or what material it actually goes into. I personally I will just say that the Demon Slayer manga disappointed me, but it's at the same time, if you can make the spin-off work, maybe
Mhm.
it continues with the source material there. Maybe it sort of makes my feelings change, perhaps. Who knows?
Mhm. And it's, I mean, something we've seen with Demon Slayer, and I know people want to complain about things being carried by animation and whether or not, Demon Slayer is a product of a ridiculous production value because it is a gorgeous show to watch.
I mean, in all honesty, I'm gonna upset probably a couple people by saying this, but it's a rather mediocre story. But it's
Mhm.
beautifully animated, and that's what
Yeah.
keeps us engaged. The fights are there. Like, at the root of it all, it's pretty much like a conglomerate of, like, all right, Bleach with swords. They each have their own special power. Like,
Hmm.
Naruto fighting demons and stuff like that. Like, it's like there's transformations, like it's all these little things that you've
Hmm.
sort of taken inspiration from that's kind of conglomerated into Demon Slayer. But yeah,
Yeah, it's one of those where I think I would probably be whelmed by the manga, but I'm blown away by the anime. And honestly, with the way that Demon Slayer is received, I would be surprised if the spin-off gets ignored. I feel like we'll see an anime of that in a few years' time.
for sure, for sure.
Some other short term, some exciting things. Beastars, for those of us that are containing ourselves and waiting to watch it legally, should be up July 15th. So just about a week on that till that's on Netflix. The My Hero Academia movie is slated to drop, I believe it was August 6th in Japan. As you mentioned before, with the SAO movie, we'll have a few months before that hits the Western world, but that's still going to be available to some degree.
Yeah, and two other things that I do want to jump into on topic of spin-offs and things like that. So we're supposedly getting a Fruits Basket spin-off, which I think is going to be very interesting. It's going to focus on past events,
Ooh.
and so we're going to jump into high school girl, and there's no real backstory behind, anything like that. So we're supposed to get a little bit of like prequel thing, and with how well received Fruits Basket final season got,
Yeah.
I'm actually like really excited for this. And in terms of and other things, Spy Family, which I literally have the manga sitting here, I'm really excited for. It got announced for a 2022 release,
Hmm.
so that's something I'm going to be looking forward to next year.
Yeah, that'll
If
be a
you
fun
have
one.
Yeah, and it's definitely worth going out to start reading if you are a big manga reader like myself. There's currently 4 volumes of it. Like, I have all 4 of them here, and there's, I think, 40 or 50 chapters on Shonen Jump's website that you can just read for, the $2 a month that you have to pay for it. So
Hmm.
honestly, if you want to get into it, now's a great time.
Yeah, I'm not a huge manga reader, so I haven't picked it up, but I'm well aware of it. So I will definitely be watching it in 2022. While we are on the topic of manga, we have propped somewhere. I got Uzumaki sitting in that mess of merchandise right there. Uh,
Mike Wazowski's just sitting on top of it.
yeah, right behind, right under Mike Wazowski, right where it belongs.
Yeah, definitely.
So Uzumaki dropped a super cool teaser trailer where it was still all black and white, and it's like finally we might see a good looking Junji Ito anime. If they just literally copy paste his art, it might look good. And then like a day after they drop this dope trailer, it's like, oh, it's delayed till October 2022. So it was a roller coaster of
Well, I
Twitter
mean,
feed.
that doesn't necessarily say it won't look bad or it won't look good. There's still hope, right?
Yeah, I,
Right?
I, I still have hope.
We're allowed
I
hope.
do.
Yeah.
And then the last few bits of news are all speculative or upcoming announcements. Vinland Saga, for their 2-year anniversary, are gonna have a special announcement. That'll be later today. That's July 7th. Look forward to that. Hopefully it's a season 2. Vinland Saga is awesome. Anohana keeps teasing things for their 10th anniversary. I don't know if that'll be a 10-year late sequel or what the hell they're doing. And while we're on the topic of not knowing what the hell is going on, July 12th, we're getting a Full Metal Alchemist announcement.
Yep.
Is it merch? Like, what are you
They're gonna
doing?
pull a. They're just gonna pull a Toriyama, and they're just gonna be like, "I'm upset with how FMA ended, let's just remake an entire season like Toriyama did with Dragon Ball Super.
We're gonna get Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Full Metal Alchemist Sisterhood.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood rebuild. You cannot get your mom back.
Are we thinking of Neon Genesis or
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, and with that, we can dive into our reflection of a pretty packed spring season.
Yeah. It's honestly gonna be one to remember for a lot of people, and there's some that we haven't even watched that we honestly should have. There's
Hmm.
been a lot of obvious time on our hands, and we definitely pick and chose. I do want to say before we even get into anything, I've heard nothing but amazing things about Odd Taxi, and that is one that I probably should watch. And I'm
Hmm.
gonna say, with my blind judgment, give that a shot. If you're willing
Yeah,
to give B stars a shot, give Odd Taxi a shot. That's really all that I can say from
yeah,
what I've heard. But that won't be anything that you and I have talked about.
yeah.
But I know that that is something that goes along with how well this season was made.
It's actually, I think, an interesting starting point here because we usually start off with our sleeper series, and I had been talking up Mars Red a bit throughout the season, but I think towards the end it got a little flat, a little confusing. And then all of a sudden, this hype for Odd Taxi comes out, and even though I haven't seen it, I feel like how under the radar it was, and then suddenly at the top, it regardless of what we think our sleeper is, I think Odd Taxi was the sleeper of the season.
For a
Um,
lot of people, yeah.
yeah,
People are
and
joking that
it's
it got the, Giguk boost because he made an entire
yeah,
video about it, so all of a sudden it's gonna get even more into people's eyes.
yeah. Both I saw Giguk, I saw Mother's Basement, I saw a few big YouTubers tweeting about it. I think about 3 people saw me talking about it during the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. I
Let's
saw
go
the
3
trailer.
people.
I saw the trailer. I saw the announcement. I was like, "Damn, that looks interesting." I'm actually super curious, but I was hoping it would be like super slice of life and just like weird conversations in a taxi. So I actually didn't watch it because I found out there would be a plot, and I regret it. Like I have
You
to watch it
wanted
now.
you wanted Cash Cab, you didn't want a plot.
I did. I wanted like floor level cash cab ceiling crazy taxi. Like that's about as far as I was willing to go. But
That's, definitely some references there for people.
yeah, that it came out of nowhere. I mean, it was pretty quiet for 11, 12 weeks, and then all of a sudden it was it shot up, I think, to the top 3 shows as far as ratings this season.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it was definitely one that I heard about at the start, heard about maybe like 3 episodes in, and then the silence until it ends. And now that it's over, it's getting the boost of
Mhm.
why haven't you watched this?
Yep. Yep. And then your sleep. I forget what you had last week or
I've always had Higehiro on there. I had 86 because of how it season ended. I moved away from that, and I've moved Tokyo Revengers into the sleeper as well. Now,
mm,
I'm going to talk about both of them, but I want to start with first Tokyo Revengers. I have always wanted to like, and I was enjoying every episode. I was interested because I like those like mystery thriller esque anime. You know, Erased is one of my favorite anime, and I was hoping to get some sort of mystery aspect like that. And I got a little peer pressured because my one friend who I talked to on the daily, she was like, "Hey, I'm reading Tokyo. Oh my god." And then she just kept talking about it and talking about it. So then one Sunday I read 200 chapters in a day. And now I'm fully caught up. So I felt like if that was how I felt, I kind of have to move it into my sleepers. So I'm
yeah.
I'm a big fan of Tokyo Revengers. I'm really happy with it. I hope we can get more content because I think there is a good story there, and I'm very excited to see how it continues being animated. But again, I also have Higehiro on there. That is one that has ended, and the ending was a little lackluster to me,
Mhm.
but there was a lot of emotion, and there was a big culmination of emotion behind it, so I don't think I was disappointed. I
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it was one of those things that you knew how that anime was going to end. It wasn't gonna be middle-aged
Mm.
man stays with little girl for the rest of his life. Like, no, that wasn't she's not little, she's in high school, but the point that it still stands. But you knew that wasn't gonna happen, but there was just like there was the emotion side, and then there was the way that it like ended, and there was just like a little bit of hit or miss. But I've stuck with this thing through the entirety of it. That was one that I claimed.
Yeah.
That was one that I stuck with,
Yeah,
and
you called that one early
yeah,
on.
and I'm gonna stay with it as a sleeper.
Yeah, and I think I do want to loop back to Tokyo Revengers because I mean, you said you read 200 chapters in one day. You have to have some really, really strong feelings and strong opinion towards Tokyo Revengers to call it a sleeper as a show that is, far from slept on. It's popular, and if you're saying it's going to get that much
Oh yeah,
better, that much bigger, I think that is a very key takeaway from that statement.
reading it has got me more and more invested in the story, and part of why I would keep reading was because I needed to keep knowing what was going on. So enjoy, anime fans, because and I can't you can't call it anime of the season because it's not ending. So it has to stay under the sleeping category.
Yeah, do we even have an announcement for how long it's gonna be yet?
I mean, I imagine 23, 24, but no, I don't think we do. I'm looking at my Annie list page, and it doesn't have a date for that.
Yeah.
But Tokyo Revengers, also, yeah, neither my anime list nor Annie list have
Yeah,
any sort of
it
ending date.
it could end up being, Days of Old, long-running shonen. I mean, probably not the
No,
Black
the
Clover
only time,
Boruto, but
yeah. The only time and the only anime that isn't like a mainstream one like that you really get is JoJo's. JoJo's is the only one that really has its own trend of what it wants to do. But so I wouldn't be surprised if we just hear that it's going to be 23 episodes, but
yeah, that is my
yeah,
expectation as well, but if it ends up being 40, 50, I wouldn't be shocked.
I wouldn't be mad either. I would not be mad.
From there, I think we can jump into our overrateds. If I'm reading the doc properly, is that where we're sitting? Are we agreeing on this one?
I have an asterisk at mine, but yes, we're agreeing on this one.
86, settling on the first core of 86
Yes.
as overrated.
And that is why I said I have an asterisk on mine. I'll let you speak, but I want
Mhm.
to give my opinions on how things went.
It's 86 is one that from if it wasn't for Shaman King, like from episode 1, I watched 86 and it was like very lukewarm. It was okay. To me, when I watch 86, I feel like I'm watching the Sword Art Online that people didn't like. Like it just felt like it was trying too hard to be really cool and really edgy and have these dark, tough, strong characters. It feels very immature. I don't know if that's the right word for it. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like there was enough substance to it. I know there's the two classes and races and this separation and the way people are treated and war and all that, but it feels like something that was a light novel and was probably a pretty good light novel, but translating it to an anime just felt like it was trying to be edgy.
It's hard because it's one of those things that if we remember, I had it in a sleeper at as of like the last episode. So what could possibly have made me change? Well, I I think back originally we didn't know it was going to be a two core,
Yes.
and
I thought it was over.
yeah,
If I
so
didn't see
I
the
thought it
announcement, I would still think it's over.
yeah, and I'm gonna flat out say I did not like how it ended. I did not
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the cutting point that it did. I was very disappointed in it. It you know how like Gurren Lagann kind of had like arc, and then halfway through arc, and then 3 episodes of arc, and what the fuck is going on? Like
Yep.
it kind of felt
Yep.
like it started an arc that it knew it wasn't going to be able to finish in this core, and so it just kind of bothered me about that. Like I think the music is great. I think
I
the
love the OP.
animation is yeah, I love the OP. I love the soundtrack that it uses. There's a lot of good that this anime has, but just based off of the decision making for how they ended it, it leaves it in like a giant cliffhanger. And I think I hold a little bit of bias because one of the anime that I liked years and years ago, it was called Gangsta. Gangsta was an anime that just kind of ended, and then, if I remember correctly, the studio collapsed months later. So it's never gonna get a second season.
Mhm,
And I really liked it. I really thought that it could have had a second season, but I don't think it's good based off of how it ended, knowing that we're not gonna get a second season more than likely. And
mhm.
so right now, 86 is an overrated based off of how it ended.
Okay, but you could raise it
Yes,
back up to a good show depending on how the fall season goes, right? Am I?
exactly. And that's why I have it as an asterisk right now, but I will say it's probably my least enjoyed ending. I was frustrated at it at the very least.
Yeah, I think for me too, I think it suffered from being in a season where, if it was in the winter season, of course Attack on Titan ReZero would have been higher rated. I think 86 would have got a little bit less hype train and it would have had less competition at that very good tier. This season, I don't feel like really it had like 10 very good tier shows that was just waiting for one to stand out. We saw it with Odd Taxi where it just suddenly was able to leapfrog everything.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
then
when
there
you
was ones that
compare it,
started earlier,
it's
like To
mediocre.
Your Eternity, where we had like 2 episodes and everyone was like on it.
Yeah.
Where so like there were a lot of ones that people jumped onto and then it sort of faded. And I think 86 had its moments. I liked where the direction it was going. I just didn't like how it was paced and how they made their cutting point. And I think that's a good enough reason to call it overrated, especially when we know how well made this entire season was. So
Yes.
it's obviously hard to pick an overrated one.
Yeah. Yeah, the season's just, I mean, it's pretty stacked throughout, except for the dumpster fire of the season. Um, I will let you start because mine is not one that is on the dock, so we can talk about the one we have listed down first.
Oh, Nagatoro. Oh, Nagatoro. How I gave up on you, how you made me uncomfy. It I'm trying to understand. Like I understand sometimes fans like weird stuff,
Hmm.
and we can put it like that. This had 445,000 people at it on their My Anime List
Yeah.
page. It has
Uh,
a 7.5. That is zero point oh 0.06 less than My Hero Academia's season right now. And I have gone on record in the past by saying that this is going to be the worst My Hero Academia season ratings wise.
so far it is.
So if you're doing worse than that, it's I yeah, like there in terms of your top 6 anime right now, the only one with a lower score is Higehiro. And okay, that's fine. But Higehiro also has 110,000 less people that have watched it. So that's why you can kind of equate it as like not so much a dumpster fire and you give it like a little bit of a shot there. This was hyped. This was a lot of people's watch. Second most watched thing on the season. Just not good. So yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about Nagatoro. It's hard for me to drop an anime. If I'm
Yeah,
dropping an anime, it's a strong reason why, because I'm willing to
yeah.
watch a lot of trash.
I finally dropped comedy. Took me 6 episodes.
But yeah,
You made it longer than I made it Nagatoro.
Yeah, Nagatoro. I said it last time. I don't have a lot more to say on it. It's if it wasn't for the memes, if I didn't use Reddit, I wouldn't be watching it.
The only thing that's come out of it that I like is I watch a lot of TikTok, so all I hear is "Gambare, gambare, senpai,
that's
gambare, gambare, senpai."
it's the best parts of it are
Social media users making it fun. The show itself is not very fun. My dumpster fire, and I'm going off the rails this episode here because
Literally, he doesn't even have it in the doc.
I don't have it on the doc. I don't have it on my list. I haven't watched it. Record of Ragnarok?
What the
Okay.
fuck happened to that? That
Okay, please
that
talk.
that was one of the shows.
That a lot of people were really, really, really hyped for. Me included. I was ready to watch it, but it was one of the Netflix jail shows, so they held on to it for 8 weeks and then released a whole season in one shot.
Sounds like you
And-
wish they never released it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like usually, like Beastars when it drops on July 15th, I'm watching it on like July 15th.
Yeah.
Record of Ragnarok dropped, and it's like the biggest fight scene in the manga is literally a slideshow. Which
Oh, so it got the 7 Deadly Sins treatment.
which is why I haven't watched the 7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
I put up with it for House Husband because it fit. House Husband's a comedy gag anime. If you're, I mean, it's Record of Ragnarok is like a God of High School. The whole thing is a tournament arc. It's just God. It's literally gods. These are gods in high school. It's just gods fighting each other.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the characters list right now, I'm looking at it. You have
Mhm.
Jack the Ripper, Poseidon, Thor. Like, these are literal gods.
Yeah, and it's like it's literally just a tournament. How do you not animate the fights? What are we doing?
I could tell you why. Did you look to see who's producing it?
Is it JC Staff?
No, it's Warner Brothers.
That is. I'm stunned. I'm floored. I didn't even know Warner Brothers like.
Warner Brothers of
what?
Japan.
That exists?
For those who don't know, this anime has a 6.64 on my anime list with 44,000 people giving it a grade. That is lower than Mars Red. Yes, that's a dig at you.
Oh man, I'll take it. I was disappointed in the end of Mars Red, but
Even
fuck,
Burning Comedy has a higher rating.
that tells you something.
There you go.
The anime that who have created a YouTube channel because I have a problem where I can't drop shitty anime, dropped an anime that it's a sports anime about some tag sport that's popular in like 2 countries. Outdid Record of Ragnarok.
Sounds like you should have been recording to not drop it.
I might binge it. I might
Do it. Do it. Chat, you want it. You want it.
Let me chat. You stream too much.
I haven't streamed in a week, thank you very much.
From there, try to calm myself. Get the
He's the one sweating over here, and I'm just like, mm-hmm.
It is
Mhm.
hot.
It's raining and
My-
thundering.
It's 90. My blood is boiling. We have to move to anime of the season. I gotta
Literal short temper.
talk about something else.
God, do we just go right into the I told you so? Or do you want me to lead?
I mean, are you saying it I told you so, or am I saying it I told you so?
I think you told me so.
Mm-hmm. I'll let you go first then.
All right. I've had Vivi for I think that was my initial prediction. That was my mid-season. I held Vivi up. I still think Vivi was really, really good through the end of the season. I think it is the best completed show this season I've seen. But I will say that there is only one show this season that has made me cry, and it has done it twice, and it is To Your Eternity. I don't know how we feel about making the 20-something episode show the anime of this season. Feels weird.
I mean, for how good it is and how much we've had out of it, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's not ending. So
I think To Your Eternity beats out Vivi. I know I was on the fence about it last
especially
week.
like the most recent episode. There's a lot of emotion in that episode. So
Man.
yeah, I can
Oh,
understand
man.
that you would have wanted to put it up there.
It's the best thing that was airing during last season.
One Piece fans.
Except
One Piece fans don't yell at me because I'm 800 episodes behind, but To Your Eternity was the best thing that I watched. But somebody made me start watching Fruits Basket, so I'm halfway through season 2. But go ahead, you can talk about season 3.
why? What? That I said that it was gonna do really well. That I thought this would be one of the highest rated anime on my anime list.
The
That if you
highest rated was.
It's too much, though. Come on.
that if you currently look at the top anime of all time on my anime list, it's currently sitting at 1.01 behind Steins Gate and 0.02 behind Attack on Titan season 3 part 2. How Fruits Basket finale was everything that the mangaka would have wanted and not the one that came out in like 2002 and 2003. You want to talk about an anime that made me cry? Yeah, that one was emotional. So much culmination, and the ending, unlike other anime that we had this season, like Higa Hero, like 86, I thought was one of my favorite endings of anime in a long time, probably since Death Parade. And I go on record by saying
Ooh.
Death Parade is one of my favorite anime endings of all time,
Yeah,
if
that's high
not my
praise.
favorite. So I like it was a satisfying way to end it. You get the ending that you probably would have wanted, and it's a great way of wrapping it up. And I wasn't sure how 13 episodes were gonna fare, especially because like the last couple episodes, it was like, all right, what are we gonna do here? But yeah, I again, I'm happy with it. I loved it. It's one of those anime that you obviously don't want to watch because you remember in 2002 and 2003 that only the middle school girls were watching it and not, you know, anybody else. So you weren't sure if that was going to be your thing. I definitely am just I love Fruits Basket.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm about halfway through season 2, maybe a little less. I like it. I do. I like it a lot, but ah,
To get you to like a
for
slice of life.
it's not that crazy. Come on.
I love Yuru Camp. Come
Okay,
on.
okay.
Nadesh goes over there. She's in the mess somewhere.
Oh, I'm sorry. My eyes were
There.
on Mike Wazowski.
Oh, but it has to do a lot. Final season has to absolutely fucking slap to hit Attack on Titan Steins Gate. I don't know. I don't know. Like, even seeing it there, seeing the proof in front of me, I don't know where to put the bar.
I think you also have to understand there's a lot of emotion behind how the original one ended, how it was disappointing for not only the mangaka, but how it went about, that this is such a satisfying, true ending. Think of it like you were playing a video game and the video game, the only way you could get the true ending was playing it on the hardest difficulty. And it took you years to beat that hardest difficulty. That's what this feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I hope what it does more than anything, regardless of how I'll personally feel about how final season goes once I get there. I'm sure I'll have it by mid next season. I hope it opens the door for more of these, for more remakes to be done right. I mean, obviously, Brotherhood's the big one. We joked about it earlier, but to see, especially these shojo manga, these typically, girl oriented slice of life romance ones, as opposed to the dumbass boys hitting their head against the wall and screaming for 10 episodes. I mean, anime has become so much more widely accepted and more universal where, maybe the anime industry could take a look at how ridiculous the reception of Fruits Basket is. And we can get a few big remakes of some other slice of life, some other romance, some other things like that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of anime that, if you look back on, took its own path because it caught up to the source material. The biggest mainstream example you can look at is like Soul Eater.
Yeah.
You could even remake that because it's been years since then and use the full source material and maybe do it a little bit more justice. It's not going to be hitting the same levels, but I think that it shows that there is potential for remakes to really do justice for things. Another one that I briefly mentioned, it's not necessarily a remake, but I remember I read recently that Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, purposely remade Super because he was disappointed in how GT went. He came back because he wanted to have a more satisfied way of his series ending. And that did a better job than GT did, that much is for sure.
Yeah.
It was well received. So you do see that like people want, especially their mangaka, they want things to be in good eyes. They want things to have good memories for people. And if it ends in a sour note, even something like Fruits Basket, or not Fruits Basket, sorry, Food Wars is what I meant to say. Like
Ooh.
that is one that didn't really like go on it kind of had its own path towards the end of things, and it was very like sped up and stuff like that. Like
It
there were
was
just moments
very
there.
no good, is what it was.
Yeah, no, it definitely took its own path there, but like I think there's potential going forward, seeing the success like this, to get things of this quality, and not Shaman King 2021.
Yeah, stop making shonens. Stop remaking the shonens. The writing was never good.
At
At
least
least the writing of like a romance, like a drama, something could have good writing, but maybe it didn't have the attention back in the day. Maybe now it's time. There's a much bigger, more accepting audience, I think.
where
Yeah,
it's not
times
just
have
shonen
changed.
people.
The quality of anime is there. If I look at my top anime overall, I have, in terms of my ratings, Death Parade, Fruits Basket, Code Geass, Doctor Stone. Like each of them kind of have their own genre. Some of them might overlap in terms of how they are, but like there's different genres behind it. You're allowed to have these different feelings. You're allowed to have these different manga and these different anime that you like, and whether you are male, female, non-binary, there are going to be so much anime out here, and I think like that's what the
Mhm.
season really showed you.
Yeah.
I started with 10 anime to watch at the start of the season. Next season, I'm going to have to dig a little bit to find things that I want to watch, but I'm
For
sure
sure.
there's going to be something there that you're going to hear us talk about. There's going to be something out there for you, whether you are a mainstream watcher or you've seen 400 anime.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. This season showed that there really is something for everybody, right? The fruits basket for the romance slice of life, the odd taxi and Tokyo Revengers mystery, the Tokyo Revengers bringing shonen to the table, Vivi with the fucking. I mean, we got two different awesome time travel anime this season. Whatever the hell is going on with To Your Eternity, I don't know what genre that is, but it's awesome.
And one of the
Fucking
worst things that's being aired right now, if you look strictly on a statistics and rating standpoint, is the most popular one and the most mainstream one. Like
yeah.
that just kind of tells you what anime has been able to go towards and the direction that we're getting. And there's going to be a lot more exciting seasons, and this is going to be one to remember, though. That
And
much is for sure.
And I gotta throw it out there too while we're talking about different audiences. Maybe you're old. Maybe you love cell animation, cell art, Megalobox too. Like we're just gonna intentionally make this look kind of shitty, and it's gonna be awesome.
We definitely took a little bit of a spin there for the anime of the season, but I think it was worth noting how this season ended with being able to sort of provide a little bit more perspective on things. And with an ending season, again, I've said it multiple times, this is going to be one to remember. You're going to look
Mhm.
back on this one 5 years from now, and there's probably going to be 3 more anime that you added into your list that you finally were able to watch after going through your plan to watch list 50 times before you picked one.
Yep.
But you're going to add another one, and there's a chance that you're going to find it here.
Yep. Yeah, there's a good chance this is one of those you look back on. You keep saying, "Oh, I think I'll watch this." Oh, that was from Spring 21. Oh, that's same as these other 10 awesome shows. It was just such a deep season. Just you can watch the 10th highest rated show, and I'm sure you'll absolutely love it. It's crazy.
And I
I
think
agree 100%.
I think that'll wrap it for spring 2021. We'll be back hopefully in a week or two for some of these summer shows. There, I think, is a lot less options. It feels more shallow, but I think we were wrong about this season, so I look forward to getting into it and seeing what's there.
I agree. But until then, we'll see you next time.
Yep, see ya. I would have went further, but I hit a table.
I was about to say, I wanted you to slide off frame.
I wanted to also, but I have a table.